First, let me start off by thanking SJ for coming through on Cash App again. That was very generous of you, and I mean that from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. Secondly, um, I want to thank Shay Sade for finally covering that conversation that happened years ago between some sisterin and a Ku Klux Klan member, in which they were live. I forgot whose live it was, but she was live in the conversation with him, and she and more than one said that what they would want is for us brethren to not exist, and that their only issue with men was with black men. They didn't really care about other men continuing, but they didn't want us even around. And here's what gets to be a problem with that. Um, Now we hear them saying on videos that they love us, and they're telling us they love us, they're not hiding it. And while I can certainly appreciate the intention, I still have to remind you that if if you were, especially back in the 90s, a prison inmate, and you wrote love letters to a free woman, and you didn't know her before you got locked up, then they didn't even believe the love letters. It was all a lie to them. Oh, you just an inmate. That's all. You in jail. So if you were, hell, if you're just a black man with glasses, what they do then is they look and they see, well, how many other black women don't want you? And so then when you write anything to them or you say anything to them or show any interest, it's just because of who else you don't have. And when they realize or even tell themselves this, whether it's true or not, then you are the guy that just didn't have anybody. And so that's the end of that. And so now that the economy is getting bad and SNAP benefits are vanishing and winter's been here for a while, you're starting to hear these affirmations and they're on TikTok. And Shay Sade did ask, she said something like, well, what would it really take? And she said, the best way to really know is if your love for black men, the best way to know if it's sincere or not is that your love for black men goes beyond TikTok. And my answer is no, 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 no. What does it take for a black man to prove that he loves black women? What do black women say that it takes for a man to prove he loves black women? And then what are the results of that proof? And I want to give the same definition. How do we know that a black woman loves black men? Well, black men, if they love black women, are required to shoot their shot at black women, get rejected, shoot their shot again, get rejected again, keep trying and keep shooting their shot and keep themselves limited to only black women after being rejected when they shoot their shot at black women, and then pass up other women that like them for black women. My answer to sisters, or my answer to that question when sister asked that is, you must shoot your shot at black men, get rejected and shoot your shot again. And you must pass up men of other races that are into you. Oh, wait, that's right. I forgot. Those men exist, don't get me wrong, but they're under social pressure to hide it. And even though men tend to respond to social pressure with a lot less acquiescence, that is one social pressure to which men generally do respond when you're not dealing with black men. Black men are the ones that'll sit up and say, man, that's my business. Who I'm with is my business. That's something brothers will say. And that's something brothers will say when they have a choice. That's not something men of other cultures say. in many cases, even though it is true and it's understood. They don't say it in the same context that brothers do because that's like saying I don't have a choice. Yeah, that's the issue there. So sisters are going to have to start shooting their shots at black men. And that's something they're going to need to do when they're up and brothers are down. And some sisters have said, well, we've always earned more than black men and we still with him. No, you have to be with him the way they got to be with you when they're up and you down. You pretty much got to settle for hypogamy. Because being a black man that was into sistering and pretty much only sistering for a long time, that generally means that while hypergamy is normal for women, that pretty much means that even the severity of the hypergamy has to be unnatural. It has to be illogical. It has to be wrong, actually. And how do you know? Well, if you look at the differences in between the man and the woman that you would accept for your son when he finds somebody, you've already demanded that the man that conceives your son with you has to be further above you than you would want your son to be above the woman that he finds and finds him. This is how I know it's some BS. I've watched this and I've been able to notice this pattern for years. I'm just not putting it into words for the first time. My mom knew what differences she did not want me to have to deal with and tolerate between the women that I would choose and myself. And that's exactly as different as they would need it. I mean, she can't be too young, son, and I would agree because, I mean, I think I inherited from my dad the preference for women my age and older anyway. So I'd agree. But as far as the women were concerned, oh God, no. Being the same age as you or being older than you, man, that's not going to happen. All right, bet. Not only that, but hell, being mature for their age, that wasn't going to happen. It's not because I was immature for my age. It was because they just weren't going to sit up here and stand in front of their friends and openly validate a man that was out of style. That's what it really boiled down to when I was growing up. And yesterday we saw something about if it was embarrassing to have a boyfriend or not. It was embarrassing to not. Now it's embarrassing to have one. And this is shout out to Passport OG. He's the one that posted that. And I watched it as it premiered. Shout out to Geechee Man, Guy Incognito, Cynical Optimist, Passport OG, and the rest of the brethren that were in there. These women were talking about how embarrassing it is to have a boyfriend, but we already know how embarrassed they are when they don't have one. So now it's like, yeah, it's embarrassing to have one because when you get a millionaire or a billionaire, then he does you wrong later on. Yeah, he's a billionaire. That's really hard for men to be. It's easier for a woman to be a woman with big breasts than it is for a man to be a billionaire. But all the woman has to do is have big breasts, and she's gonna act a goddamn fool. And she could have a stomach bigger than her titties, she'll still act a fool. My titty's big, and your stomach's 5 times the size. What it's going to take for sisters to prove that they really do love brothers is that they're going to have to pass up what they think is going to be financial relief from non-black men. And that's just the black men who have the financial means to give financial relief. Pass that up. And that's going to be funny because if you pass it up and you make a show out of it, we might think it's a performance. But if you don't pass it up, we would say, well, we have no evidence you ever passed that up. So we don't know. Simply put, there's really no sensible way to know, gentlemen, that these sisters really love you. I'm sure there are those who do, but there's really no way to know that. And that's why you can't be out there shooting your shot. You approaching sisters, as many brothers have begun to say, as even many white guys have begun to say about white women, is like chasing an extra bill. That's you pursuing them. That's you trying to take them on dates and wow them and all that. I actually like going the Muslim route when it comes down to marriage. You go through somebody in the family. You may ask her if she minds you talking to them. Maybe that. But you go through someone in the family. You're like, hey, bet, here's the deal. I'd like to know if I can talk with your dad. If not him, your brother or your uncle. That's what you say. And the first time that y'all are alone together, you're married. First time you date, go out together, you're married. So you're not out there being taken for a ride. That's what's important to me. I'm not saying they never try anything, but you can skip most of the game plan. Most of it. I don't mind that, but I can tell you now, straight up, going that route has taught me more about women than all the pursuing that you're supposed to do when you're just dating and you don't marry. It's taught me a hell of a lot more. So in any case, yeah, I just want you guys to know to drive a hard bargain when it comes down to that question, what do they have to do? And you don't have to have that conversation with them, but you need to understand what they must do to prove that they're actually interested in you has to be based on, and it must mirror what you would have to do for them to believe that you're interested in them, even though brothers have shown interest in sisters far more than the reverse. Again, I'm sorry for the lengths of time in between a lot of these uploads. I have been quite busy. And after I record this one, not even upload, but after I record this one, I probably won't have time for another week. But thank you all for sticking with me, and thank you, S-Jock, for coming through on the Cash App. I hope this helps. Black heart, black mind, black out. Black heterosexual, non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. Thanks for flying again on Jet Black Air, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jet black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.